What's going on YouTube? This is BBSP. Want to holler at y'all. I'm back. I want to get a quick, just a video on the top 75 greatest of all time list. That list came out, what was that? Wednesday, Thursday. No. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday the list came out. As we all, as y'all know, it all came out in alphabetical order. Though I wouldn't have thought that shit, as far as how they released it. Everybody knows the names that made it. Everybody knows the names that didn't make it, right? So, we got a lot of no-brainers, a lot of, I agrees, and that's kind of shaky, and I don't think he belongs on that list. People have different thoughts on that and everything, but for me, a couple of things. There's been a lot of people missed out on that list. Partly due to injuries, number one, or their careers were short, or their resumes weren't good enough and shit. But for me, first I'm gonna go over who I thought, me personally, should have made the list, and who I think they left off for various reasons and shit. For me, they overlooked guys like Walter Davis, played for the Phoenix Suns, and was a predominant player in the 70s, was one of the best scorers in the league, especially in the late 70s, early 80s, They really missed out on him. He's a six-time All-Star, 1976 Olympic gold medalist, and I think he led the league in scoring at one time. I think he has argument to be on the list. Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady. I'm gonna lump them in two together because their careers are intertwined, kind of, and everything, and shit, right? It's kind of shaky, man, because Vince Carter, he had an influence. He brought a new style. He kind of influenced the game with that 2000 slam dunk contest. And he has made a share of All-Star appearances. But can you make an argument he's a top 75 player? Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. I'm really not sure about that. Let's see. He made an All-Star team a couple times and shit. I'm not sure has he made any all-defensive I know he's not made an all-defensive first team. I'm thinking all NBA first teams and shit, right? All NBA first teams, I think he only made like maybe 3, but I know he only made 2 all NBA first teams. So then his career, he has a longevity, but his career kind of took a nosedive after New Jersey, because for a while, he was with the Nets, New Jersey Nets, you might as well say, right? New Jersey Nets, for a minute there, even though it wasn't all-time great, he was still putting up respectable all-star numbers. But I'm trying to think, did he go from New Jersey to Dallas? Well, no, he went from New Jersey to Orlando. He went from New Jersey to Orlando. When he got traded the third time, that's when his numbers started to dip. and he kind of sort of declined a little bit, you know. But you know, he went from Orlando to Phoenix to Dallas to Memphis, then to Atlanta. You know, he basically became the journeyman at the end of his career. You know, but I'd say he's more top 90, maybe top 90. Tracy McGrady, we all know what happened. I think like the early 2000s was when early to mid 2000s was when Tracy McGrady took off. You know, he made the All NBA first team a couple times and shit, and he was definitely definitely a top 5 player in the league. I say from 2000 to 2003. And that right there, you know, lies the problem with Tracy McGrady. You know what I mean? He, first of all, his peak and prime was short with McGrady, right? And plus the fact that his resume is kind of lacking and shit. You know, his resume is kind of lacking when you think, you know, he had great scoring games, you know, 62 points, you know what I mean? The 30 points in 13 minutes that one time, you know, but yeah, I think due to the injuries and the lack of longevity and the lack of peak and prime, you know, Tracy McGrady falls short. He's more like top 90 with Vince. You know, you could make a case for Penny Hardaway. Penny Hardaway, Anthony Penny Hardaway was one of my favorite players in the NBA. You know, definitely one of my favorite players and shit. But you know, when you take into account that after Shaq left, after them couple years, he was like maybe dominant for like maybe a year after that. Maybe after the year after Shaq left is when he really started to decline, you know. And unfortunately, the sad part about it is because I feel like if Penny Hardaway had stayed healthy, he definitely would have a Hall of Fame career, whatnot, you know. But because the injuries and because, you know, all the other factors that played a role, his career was cut short. Same with Grant Hill, even though I think Grant Hill, you know, Grant Hill's career is a tad bit better because, you know, he had a little bit better longevity in the league. You know, see, Penny Hardaway, I don't think Penny Hardaway, I don't think Penny played 10 years. That's the thing. He got drafted in 94, right? In 93. He got drafted in 93, right? So he played until 2004. So that's 10 years. And even during that time, you know, he had a lot of injuries, had a lot of wear and tear, you know what I mean? Because he was, you know, he was forced to carry a heavy load once Shaq left. And for me and shit, you gotta think, go back to the 96 playoffs in the first round against the Detroit Pistons. There's a particular play where, what was it, Curry, what was it, one of the Currys or some shit like that. I don't think it was Dale. I don't think Dale was on the Pistons at that time. And shit. I don't think he was on the Pistons and shit. But somebody named Curry. Somebody gotta let me know. Some dude whose last name is Curry. Well, anyway, the play happened. Curry stepped on Penny's ankle, and he was never the same after that. So when you think of Penny, his longevity is what hurts him. Grant Hill, the fact that his prime and peak was short is what also hurts him too. Because, he had a devastating knee injury his last year in Detroit, and after that, he wasn't really the same. What was that, 99, 2000? It basically went from Detroit to Orlando to somebody got, what team was it he played for after Orlando? Because I know we played for the Suns, then he played for the Clippers. I'm thinking it's from Orlando to Phoenix to LA. But yeah, for them, it's a little bit close. They fall anywhere under the top 100 because of their careers were cut short. Now, somebody who I feel like, a couple of people who I feel like deserve to be on the list, definitely Bernard King. Because Bernard King was a face of the New York Knicks franchise in the late 70s and early 80s. He had that devastating injury for all we know back in 85? 85, yeah, he had that devastating Achilles injury, and then he reinvented his career with the Washington Wizards / Bullets in the late 80s and early 90s. Though I think what hurt him was, even though he had accolades, scoring accolades, his resume is pretty lacking. Then you have guys like, back in the 60s and shit like Hal Greer made it, but you can make an argument for guys like Chet Walker and Lou Jackson, for sure. Walter Bellamy is another guy that got snubbed, for sure. And for me, Dwight Howard, thing is with Dwight Howard, man, even though he's done some questionable things off the court, and I've questioned that shit as well, you can't argue his resume, man. The guy, this dude was the dominant big man in the late 2000s, early 2010s. It was the driving force of that Orlando team that made the NBA Finals. The team that beat LeBron in the Eastern Conference Finals. All the while being a 5-time All-Star, 1-time Defensive Player of the Year. And I think he finished second or third in MVP voting one time, if I'm not mistaken, and shit. But off the court shit, taking away the off the court shit, I'm thinking because of the whole thing that transpired in Orlando, the way that ended, the whole Lakers debacle first round with Kobe Bryant, with Kobe, Steve Nash, and all those guys when they tried to form a super team, right? I think because of the fan base out there in LA, he got the brunt of the blame, though I think that's no fault of his own. And then Shaq, you've got Charles Barkley calling him out, questioning his commitment to the game. As a matter of fact, I think Shaq and Charles were on that 75th panel. They were on that voting panel, I think. And because of Dwight's reputation off the court, it hurt him on the court. But I think because of his accomplishments, people need to look past that, get their feelings aside, because that man deserves a spot on that list. He's definitely a top 75 player of all time, given what he accomplished early on in his career. Multiple All-Star appearances, Defensive Player of the Year, All-Defensive Team, led Orlando Magic to the finals. So, for me, Dwight Howard really, really got snubbed on that list. Definitely got snubbed on that list. Kyrie Irving, he had his moments, okay? And he's a great player. But you can't really make an argument that he's a top 75 player of all time, because outside of 2016, right? Outside of 2016, when the Cleveland Cavaliers won the championship and he made that shot that basically sealed the game for Cleveland, like, what is he actually? What is he actually had an impact on? You know, this is like his third team in 4 seasons, okay? And he's either getting knocked out in the first round, hurt, or not in the playoffs. I mean, when you think about it, right? When you really think about it, Kyrie Irving is lacking resume wise. You know, outside of that run in 2016, I don't think Kyrie Irving basically accomplished anything since then. You know, and this shit is just facts. So for me, I wouldn't say Kyrie Irving's a top 75 player. Now, who I would take off the list? Who would I take off the list? Anthony Davis, for as great as he is, right? He's still lacking, you know, as far as being actually great, as far as his resume and what he's accomplished. You know, outside of the championship in 2020, right? I don't think Anthony Davis is quite there yet, you know, because when he was in New Orleans, he only made the playoffs twice. And yeah, he put up great numbers, but they really didn't have no impact. The numbers didn't have no impact because he didn't make the playoffs. He only made the playoffs 2 out of the 6, 7 years he was there. So for me, I think Anthony Davis really is not a top 75 player. I wouldn't put him there. You know, if you ask me. You know, another guy for me is Bill Walton. Yeah, Bill Walton had a good beginning in his career. Won the 1977 championship with the Portland Trailblazers and shit. But the injury, I understand the injury is no fault of his own, right? But he was basically a journeyman for most of his career after 1977. You know, when he got to the Boston Celtics, he was basically a bench player. You know, he would come in here and there and have very little impact. But Bill Walton's peak was kind of short. You know, it's very, very short. So I would actually remove Bill Walton and Steve Nash. Yeah, he won those 2 MVPs, but those 2 MVPs, you can argue, should have went to other people. You know, they were, you know, Steve Nash was a shiny new toy when the Phoenix Suns put together those 60-win seasons, right? But you make the argument that even though he improved their win total, right? You had Amari Stoudemire, you had Shawn Marion, you had Joe Johnson at one point, you had Boris Diaw, Quentin Richardson, Bo Outlaw. Those Phoenix Suns teams, that 5 seconds or less, those are some well-rounded offensive teams. But the problem with Steve Nash is, in the postseason, he didn't have that dominance in the regular season for Steve Nash didn't really translate in the postseason. So for me, I would have Steve Nash right outside the 75, you know? So that's what I think. You know what I mean? I wanted to holler at y'all real quick, but hit me up. Like and subscribe and hit me up. Let me know what y'all think. Later.